we're going to be working on making a trend line today. The first thing I want you to do is go through your warm-up, determine whether the data has positive, negative, or no association. So go ahead and pause and take care of this screen, and then I'll talk you through it.
As you can see, the first one has an upward trend, which means it is positive. The second one says the number of items purchased, which means the more items that we purchase, the total amount of the bill. So our bill also goes up, so it is also a positive association. The next one says the height of a person, so as the person gets taller, how many pets he or she owns. Well, that does not have anything to do with your height, so there is no association there. Number 4 says your friend says that the scatter plot has a cluster and no association. Do you agree? I do agree that there is a cluster right here, but I agree that the association is positive because it is going up. Okay, as we move into the trend line, which means the line of best fit, you can see that when the sets of data have a positive or negative association, you can use a special line called a trend line to show the association more clearly. There should be a line that goes through the plots that you are going to make, and it should be drawn near the points so that it approximates the association, which just means as it goes up, as the dots go up, then your line goes up. And it should be as close as possible to each data point. And there should be about as many points above it as below it. So as we look through these, we can see that the red line on the first one does not have a good association to it because it is going through the middle here of the points, but it doesn't touch most of them or come close to most of them, so that one does not fit. So we can go ahead and put an X on that one. The purple one goes through more of the points than the red one, but not as many as the green. You notice that the green line goes right through the middle of almost all of those green dots. So we are definitely going to say that this one is the line of best fit. Over here, the green line is also going through the majority of the points, so this one is also the best one. The red one, you notice, does not go in line with any of the points. It just connects 2 of them, but the majority of the points are going up in a positive direction, so the red line is going down, so that makes it not work. And then the C one, this purple one, just goes up too high. Okay, so how do we write an equation for a trend line? We first have to identify 2 points on the trend line. You're going to choose those points that are going to be easy to use and whole number value. So we're trying not to pick numbers that are going to be difficult. Okay, so over here on the right-hand side, we can see that we have chosen the point 220 and 640. Those are both good points because they go right through the middle of the data. Now, those red points are not necessarily on the line. So, or those were not necessarily blue points that were there, but we've gone ahead and chosen them because we think that they will be easy. So now we're going to find the slope. The slope, if you remember, is going to be y minus y. Oh, just a second. Y minus y over x minus x. Our points up here, we have 220, and this is the x and this is the y. And then we also have 640, and the x is the 6 and the y is the 40. So as we're looking at those, we're going to go ahead and subtract out those points. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take the Just a moment. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take the 40 minus the 20, and I took the big number minus the small number, and I'm going to get 20. And the bottom number, I'm going to do 6 minus 2, which is going to be 4. This slope is going to come out to an even 5. That is my m. So if you remember, we had y equals mx plus b, and the m was the 5. And this is how you find it, y minus y over x minus x. Okay, here is our equation, y equals mx plus b, and we already just found out that the m is going to be 5. So as we are working this through, we are going to go ahead and fill in everything that we know. We are going to take the things up here, and we're going to use them. So we're going to use the x and the y. I'm going to use this 2 for the x. I don't know the b, but I know that the m is 5. And I know that my y is going to be 20 from over here. Once again, I'm using these points to do the x and the y, and I'm taking the m from what I just found on the last slide. So here I'm going to have 10 plus b equals 20. I'm going to go ahead and subtract out the 10 because I'm going to do the opposite to find what that is. So 10 equals b. And then I'm going to rewrite the equation. Y equals mx plus b. This time, as I write it, I'm going to write it just like the equations that you're used to seeing when you're graphing. I'm going to plug in the m, which is 5, the x, and the b, which is 10, equals y. And then you should be able to graph that. Remember, we would start on the 10 and go up 5 and over 1. Okay, on your next slide, this one is going to be a little bit more difficult. We have to find our own points. I'm going to go ahead and pick a point that is kind of in the middle, so I'm going to pick this one, and I think that I'll probably pick this one. It seems like those two would be decent for my line. Then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to make a line as good as I can that goes through the middle of those points. You notice I have some above and some below. So now I'm going to label these points because I want to know what they are. This one is over 4 and up 16. And this one down here is over 1 and up 8. So now I'm going to use those points. My first job was to pick my points and draw my line. My second one was to do my y minus y over x minus x. So I'm going to take my big Y. Remember, this is x, this is y, x and y. So I'm going to do the 16 minus the 8. And then I'm going to do the 4 minus the 1. So 16 minus 8 is 8. 4 minus 1 is 3. And you notice that it did not come out evenly. So the last time it came out to be 2 or 5, and this time it's going to come out to be about 2.7. So I'm just going to approximate that. So technically it was 2.666 and it repeated on forever. So I'm going to make that 2.7. We want to be close. We don't care that we are exact. So with this, then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to do step number 3. And step number 3 says I'm going to plug in everything that I know to solve for b. So I know m, that was what I just found, that was the 2.7, times an x and a y. I'm going to pick this x and y. This is the 1, I don't know the b, and I want it to equal the y, which is 8. So 2.7 times 1 is just 2.7. Plus my b equals 8. In order to get rid of that 2.7, I'm going to go ahead and subtract it on both sides. I'm going to get 5.3 equals the b. Then I'm going to rewrite my entire equation. So y equals mx plus b. Now I know my m, which is the 2.7, and I know the b, which is the 5.3. So I'm going to have 2.7x plus 5.3 is going to be my y, which means I start on the 5.3, and then I would go up to 2.7 and over 1, so almost 3, and that is how I would graph it. When we're doing the scatter plots, because we don't have exact points and things are not going up exactly even and our lines are kind of all over and we're dealing with real data, which means that it's kind of messy, we're going to go ahead and use decimals because I think it'll be a lot easier. Okay, let's look at the next one. On the next box for u, it looks like this, and we're going to skip that for right now. We're going to jump into this one. It says the scatter plot suggests that a linear association among the data. 2 points that lie on the trend line and are drawn from the data are 218 and 424. We want the equation for that trend line. Remember that the first thing that we're going to do is we are going to find the slope. And in order to find the slope, we're going to do y minus y over x minus x. You have to know which ones are x and which ones are y. So on our 218, our first one is x, our second one is y. And on 424, our first one is x and our second one is y. So I'm going to take my big Y, which is 24, minus the 18. And then I'm going to take the big X, which starts also, I'm not just doing the 4 because it's larger, I'm doing the 4 because it's connected to the 24. So then I'm going to do 4 minus 2. In this case, as I'm working it through, I'm going to have 6 and I'm going to have 2, which is going to come out 3. Remember, if your numbers don't come out even on your slope, you are going to just use the decimal for that, but this is going to be our m. The next thing that we're going to do is we are going to do y equals mx plus b. That's our equation, and we're going to fill in everything that we know. So I'm going to use this x and y and this m to be able to fill it in. So my y is 18 equals m, which is 3, times x, which is 2, plus b. I do not know what the b is, so I'm just going to put that in and then I'm going to solve for it. I'm going to do 3 times 2, which is 6, plus b equals 18. I'm going to subtract out the 6 on both sides. And then I'm going to get 12 on this side equals b. Remember, once again, even if your decimals don't come out even, you can go ahead and use them in decimal form and you will be just fine. Y equals mx plus b. Final equation, I don't have the y and the x as any numbers, so I'm going to go ahead and fill those in as letters. And then I'm going to fill in the b, which is 12, and the m, which is 3. And this is an equation that we can go ahead and graph. So I would start at the 12, go up 3 and over 1. Okay, so now I want you to go and look at our line in class with all of our data. You are going to do the things that you need to do. So step 1, you are going to pick your points. When you pick 2 points, you are going to have those 2 that you are going to be working on. Your step 2 is you're going to do y minus y over x minus x from your 2 points to find your m. Once you have found your m, you're going to fill in an x and a y from 1 point and the m to solve for b. And then step 4 is going to be write it in y equals mx plus b, so that when you are filling it in, you have y equals your m, which is a number, times your x, plus or minus your b, depending on if it is a positive or a negative slope. Once you have filled all of that in, I will go ahead and give you your homework for today. Thank you so much.